Hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today in your busy holiday season. I know a lot of you might have extra free time and you want to spend it with family and friends and doing fun stuff, but thank you so much for joining me and my channel True Lifestyles and talking about this case that we're working on right now, the Charles Adelson trial in reference to the Dan Markel murder. And if you want more backstory on that, there's tons of videos out there. I highly suggest the 2020 episode or the Dateline. And exciting that more of those will be coming out soon as they have followed this with part 2. I think that they're probably on about part 3 by now. There have been so many trials so far, and we have learned to be patient from this trial. So anyway, I want to talk about Katie's credibility today, and I want to talk about this because this was an important factor in the Katherine Magbanua trial, especially the first and second trial and the retrial of Katherine Magbanua, because we talked a lot about Luis Rivera's credibility. And I want to send it to a clip of some of the motions in limine that were filed towards Luis from the state to try to prevent Katherine Magbanua's defense from insinuating that Luis was not a credible source. And as you will see in this video, they talk about his mental health and his gang affiliation, and these are some things that I believe Charlie Adelson's defense team might use to try to poke holes in Katherine Magbanua's credibility by looking at her mental health or her prior lies on the stand, and by Katherine waiting so long to come forward or kind of insinuating some gang affiliation. So Katie's credibility does have holes in it. We've found some inconsistency. We're not trying to bash Katie. We're also not trying to bolster Charlie's defense either. But this is going to be kind of an uphill battle to prove Katie's credibility. But I want to send it to a clip of Luis Rivera's motions in limine towards Luis Rivera in an old video that I did. And pardon any of the sound quality is not so great. So let's send it to that clip right now. I found some documents on the Leon County Courthouse website that talk about Luis Rivera's mental health and also his gang affiliation. And I'm going to talk about why those will be pertinent to Katherine Magbanua's upcoming trial. Here we go. The state believes the defendant may attempt to introduce evidence, make reference to, argue, or otherwise infer that the jury should consider co-conspirator/witness Luis Rivera's mental health. During Mr. Rivera's deposition, Mr. Rivera testified that he had been diagnosed with a lot of things, including blank and blank, which I will not go into. The state is concerned that the defense may attempt to introduce inadmissible and irrelevant character evidence that the jury should consider Mr. Rivera's mental health disorders. Throughout the course of the investigation and subsequent proceedings, no evidence has been uncovered, which would tend to show that at the time of the offenses, Mr. Rivera was suffering from symptoms indicative of mental health disorders. Furthermore, even if such evidence did exist, this evidence should be excluded as both irrelevant and impermissible character evidence. In this case, without evidence to support the claim Mr. Rivera was suffering from blank and blank, and mention or inference to his disorder would be substantially more prejudicial than probative. An ordinary objection during this course of trial, even if sustained with proper instructions to the jury, will not remove such prejudicial effect from the jury. The state hereby moves the court to order the defense not to introduce evidence, make reference to, argue, or otherwise infer the jury should consider Mr. Rivera's mental health disorders. I also want to bring up another document that talks about Luis Rivera's gang affiliation, and although it would seem pertinent to the case that he was in a gang and he was involved in Dan Markel's murder, he is also a witness to Katherine's case. So let me just read this document that explains why Luis Rivera's gang affiliation can be prejudicial to the jury. Courts have allowed for the admission of a party's or witness gang affiliation when relevant to explain disputed or unclear issues in the case of premeditation, motive, or intent. Evidence of gang affiliation was admitted in certain cases to show a strong motive the witness had to protect the defendant. Let's move on. In this case, without evidence to support logical connection between Mr. Rivera's gang affiliation and the defendant's motive to commit the murder, any mention or reference to the Latin Kings and their affiliates would be substantially more prejudicial than probative. An ordinary objection during the course of the trial, even if sustained with proper instructions to the jury, will not remove such prejudicial effect on the jury. The state hereby moves the court to order the defense to not introduce evidence, make reference to, argue, or otherwise infer the jury should consider defense allegations that Mr. Rivera was part of a gang. So in looking at Luis Rivera's history, and you might look back at the past trial in October and see the state had made an objection every time there was a situation implying that Luis Rivera's gang affiliation or his mental health or mental stamina was put on the table. Those things obviously did influence the jury, and this time, you know, looking at these documents, you can see that it does tend to influence the jury. So it's just something to think about in this upcoming trial, and just keep your eyes peeled for the state. We'll be trying to make sure that the jury is not influenced by those things. Okay, guys, so as you can see, the state did a good job of trying to predict and anticipate what Katie's defense team might poke some holes in Luis's credibility of talking about, you know, mental health issues or gang affiliation. And Luis you know, he's admitting to doing the crime, so he's not such a good guy, but, you know, he still did help out the state with information. That's what the state is going to have to prove with Katherine. While she is a convicted, you know, of first degree murder and conspiracy and solicitation, she still can help the state convict more people if she knows more information. Probably will be some motions put forward. I think that Charlie's defense team could probably talk about some of her bad behavior in jail and some of the things that we picked up on, which, you know, we took a deep dive into that, but I think it kind of helped us see past this like innocent girl act. And we see that some of Katie's friends had even called her a square, that she doesn't drink. And while that very well might be true, whether a person drinks or not, or looks good on the outside, we all know that appearances can be deceiving. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what motions come out and how the state and Charlie's defense will play this out. And there will be plenty of time to do more videos. But guys, much respect to anyone who is following this case, the state of Florida, Attorney General's office, the Tallahassee jail, and also the FBI, who's doing such a great job. Any of the people on the defense, much respect. We know that this is all gotten kind of ugly at times, and hopefully we can just keep this peaceful and find out the truth. And I think that that's what all of us really want in this case. So stay tuned for more answers, you guys, and more videos to come. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. Thank you so much for watching.